What is going on, Millennial Morticians? Happy Wednesday morning. I hope you all are doing extremely well. This is our 49th episode. We are one episode away from 50 episodes of this podcast. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Instead of me sharing information with you guys about our topic for this week, tonight's episode is going to be on the state of the podcast. The state of the podcast. So this episode is going to be me addressing what the future of the podcast is looking like. What are some things that are going to be going different? What kind of guests we're expected to have on the show? And what does the future of podcasting look like for our industry? And what do I have up my sleeves? What plans do I have? This episode, just to warn you guys, is a little bit more loose, less formal, but very informative. And so you will leave knowing about the state of the podcast and what we have planned to come. Starting off with number one, our analytics, our analytical data. That shows me how many of you guys are watching, staying tuned every week, liking, reacting, and sharing the podcast. Based on our analytical data, we have grown, especially on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're on different platforms now to kind of give you guys a more range of comfort. YouTube, you guys are always doing great and staying live. And then LinkedIn, you guys know you're my first love. And so you guys are always there. You're always watching and you're constantly supporting and even going back to watch old episodes, some of you. And so with that being said, our analytical data showed a higher number of you like shorter episodes. And so episode 50 will be the beginning of that new genre of this podcast. Instead of you guys getting the full 10 minutes or less episodes, episodes will now be in the duration of, if we have guests on the podcast, those episodes will be dedicated to 10-minute segments. And the new version of our podcast will be 3-minute, extremely fast, friendly, and informative bullet points or shorts. So you guys should get some good feedback on that. I should get some good reactions on that. It's going to be loose, formal, and informative. And so you guys are still going to get that punch that you get in the Millennial Mortician podcast just a little bit quicker and a little bit more balanced to help you manage your day and your life in the funeral home a little bit easier while also listening to this podcast. It's an idea I got from a colleague of mine based on our data and on our numbers. And so please, guys, feel free to give me your feedback on what you think about the new way we're going to do episodes and the 3-minute shorts on that. But the podcast will still be available on all platforms as normal. So just make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and share your opinion with me. I do respond to you guys as guests. So that's exciting. Some other things I want to go over. We have NFDA this year in Chicago. I do hopefully plan on being there again. I had so much fun in New Orleans. It was so nice meeting some of you guys in person and being able to spend time with you and answer some questions and really get to know you deeper. And so as we progress on, making sure I attend those conferences, grow with you, and so on. Also, some exciting news. I am supposed to be graduating mortuary school this spring, 2025. And so hopefully I can get a special episode or a week-long marathon going for us for that week, just to have something as extra excitement as we continue to grow this podcast. As some of you may know, it is my mission and my duty to keep this podcast alive and growing way beyond. And so there's been a big push for us to get the podcast sponsorship. So if you guys know anybody, if you guys even want to sponsor the podcast and have ads with us on the podcast, please give me a call. So we got some beverage companies, some food companies and stuff that we've been reaching out and contacting. But recently, I want us to start tightening up on contacting mortuary colleges and seeing how they feel about sharing their podcast, me sharing the podcast and connecting their students to the podcast as well, because I think it can be a big benefit and a big asset to people's lives to have people like them in the same boat, in the same predicament, connecting with them. Now, as far as the future of the podcast goes, I plan on, continuing to host it for many more years. But as I grow older and mature in the business, I do want you guys to have someone millennial with you always. And so there's always that part of me that's searching for the next person to lead this brand and lead this podcast forward and take it to an even bigger level. That's a part of the growth, the trajectory. That's a part of me practicing what I preach, that we can't just be sitting around growing old. And as the world changes around us, we have to be ready for that next big move, that next big development. And so I'm going to practice that and preach it as well. And so I'm always on the lookout for who's going to be next to take on the burden of the podcast in a couple of years. So, with all that being said, I know it was a lot of information extremely quick. This podcast has absolutely changed my life. It's absolutely impacted the lives of so many other people out there, morticians, funeral directors, funeral home owners. It's created a niche environment and a niche audience for people our age and in the industry that want to grow and connect and want to do things differently and are open to change. And so that I am extremely grateful for. I do have and have mentioned some guests to also join us on this podcast. So I look forward to that. I just have to reach back out with them soon and see what their schedule is looking like. But as we say, I'm your Millennial Mortician, Jaden Folks. This is the podcast that engraves. Guys, I'm blessed and honored to say that next week makes 50 incredible episodes together. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for us. I know it's going to be bright. I know it's going to be strong. Let me know what you guys think about these new shorts that are going to get ready to start coming out next week for the 50th. It's going to be a short, but it's going to be a powerful punch of just quick, good, gilded, and guided information. And I would never steer this podcast in the wrong direction. And so trying new things, staying attentive, staying focused, and doing what's right for you guys is what really matters to me. You guys have my heart. I love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying dedicated with me. Thank you for laughing with me. Thank you for crying with me. This is just the beginning. We got hundreds of more episodes to go. All right, my Millennial Morticians, stay blessed. I'm your host, Jaden Folks, guys. See you on the next one. Hey, get ready for 50th. Get excited. I should see some streamers in the comments.